had an opportunity on 2 or 3 occasions to meet with different groups of the student athletes. I haven't met with all 950 in one area, but I met with our SAC representatives a week ago. When I came in, I requested that I get a chance to meet with some of the students, but not really one-on-one time to get their feedback. What I told our SAC group is that they're an integral part of our success, and their feedback is important to me. I will meet with them on a semester basis. Each semester, go in, talk about what's on my mind, hear their thoughts. I did tell them that I want their opinions on student-athlete time demands, and that's a big issue with the NCAA. I need to know where our student-athletes are on that issue. I had my first meeting with a team. I was telling Bev Plocky when I met with her that I wanted my goal of going out and meeting all the teams, and she invited me right away because they're in the regionals to get a chance to say hello to them and talk about that and tell them how proud I was of the Big Ten championship. That was a great meeting, but I haven't yet to get into meetings with individual students where I talk to them about wants and needs, but that's coming because one of the needs that I have is to really understand where our group of student athletes are with these student athlete time demand issues that are nationally being talked about now. I need to hear from them, not just my coach's voice is important, my staff voice is important, but on that issue, I need to hear from our students. So I plan on doing that definitely by the fall, and I know our SAC representative from the Big Ten has been actively involved in the Big Ten discussion with the SAC representatives from around the conference.
Ward, this is kind of a two-pronged question. If you could first just kind of talk about your sense of how it feels to watch Jim Harbaugh in action. I mean, at times when we're out seeing him and he's conducting practices at Ford Field and down in Florida, it feels a little like, you know, when the Beatles first came over to the States. I mean, he's kind of got that effect on our fans, and I think the university. And then the second question, if you could just kind of reflect on some of your memories of playing in the spring game, what it means to students, what it means to athletes, what it means to the fan base, and also that it's going to be, you know, a bit later on a Friday night.
First question, you know, Drew may be the only one who remembers. But I'm just saying. But my freshman year, when Jim was a quarterback here, and as a quarterback, you always attract attention, always. And I was always impressed from back then with the way that Jim was always himself and handled the attention. I don't know how it's perceived by the media. I really don't read a lot about others' perception of individuals, but I will say this, that Jim has always been himself. And the reality to me in this world is I respect people who are themselves, who are true to themselves, who are not trying to be what other people always want them to be. Now, we always try to be professional, and we always try to carry ourselves in a manner that presents the best of ourselves. But I've always been impressed. I remember the game. I don't even know if I should say this. I'm probably going to get dinged by my coach over there. I remember watching Jim when he was at Stanford in the conversation that he had in midfield with Pete Carroll when he was at USC. And I don't know who I was with. I don't remember the circumstances, but I do remember what I said. I said, that's the Jim Harbaugh I've always known. To be a competitor and to be fiery and to be passionate about his team, his teammates. So I've always loved that about him. Now, spring ball was a little tougher for us than it is nowadays. We used to have shirts, and I don't even know if I ever received one, because between my neck injury, I remember having ankle injuries during spring ball. We used to hit for 20 days, every day, for those who remember those days. And so spring ball was always tough around here because, particularly as a freshman, you had the opportunity to scrimmage and play and showcase your abilities, and there was a lot of scrimmaging and hitting during that time, and so it was tough, but it was fun. I wish this old body could go through it again, but it can't. But I remember it fondly. Bo, we practiced indoors in Oosterbaan then because usually it was snow on the ground, but we would always try to get to the stadium for our spring game, and that was always a great time for us. A lot of great fun, joining back and forth with your own teammates, breaking into teams, and then at the end back then, the winning team got to eat steak. The losing team ate hot dogs, and we played in a little golf tournament called the Shank Open. And it was 9 holes. It's when I first played golf. I didn't fall in love with it then. I play golf now, but I just remember it was the first time I'd been on the golf course my freshman year and had no idea how to hold a club. And we probably caused too much work for the facility people coming in. But it was Bo made it a lot of fun, but it was a lot of hard work. And I had the great luxury to be on 3 Big Ten championship teams in my 4 years. And I can tell you a lot of the work that we did in spring ball back then led to those championships.
Speaking of night football, you recently expressed an affinity for football games in the daylight. Do you anticipate that will influence schedules in future years, and some of your predecessors anticipated influence from the Big Ten wanting Michigan to play more night games? Your thoughts in that area too?
It could be that we play more night games in the future. We talked about it this year as I was coming in and made the decision that this year we wouldn't have a night game here at Michigan Stadium. I was told, because I'm not a Twitterer, that I was getting heat because I said I didn't like playing games at night. Jokingly said that because if people would have heard the other part of what I said because I played for Bo, who thought you should always play at 12, 1 o'clock. In my career as athletic director and athletic administrator, I played a lot of night games. I'm not against them, but in the discussions that I had with many upon walking through the door, it was decided that we didn't want to play a night game here this year. So whether they'll be played in the future, I'm not against them. I think some of our fans like them, and I think I've heard from some of our fans who would prefer day games. But I know our fans love Michigan football, and whether it's played in the day or played at night, they want to see our team have success. Last year we played a significant, I shouldn't say significant, how many night games did we play in a row last year? 3? Was that those 3? I mean, that, I know the fans are interested in night games, but that's really taxing, particularly coming back late at night for the team, those kind of things on the team. So, we considered a lot before we said we wouldn't have a night game this year, but the future, there could be night games in Michigan Stadium in the future.